everyone. Thank you so much for being here and agreeing to share with me just a little time out of your day. So, I know everybody's been keeping up with what the Saints have been doing the last 10 days. We went and got John Ridgway III from the Washington Commanders, a defensive end, who's played all of 32 games in the National Football League. Well, when they did that, I said, now, why in the world would they go and get a defensive end when we need so much help on the offensive line? Depth, of course. But then they went and got Austin Deculus, who famously was a member of the 2019 LSU National Championship football team. He has all of 12 games of NFL experience. All of that, I do believe, with the Texans. And then the big news came down. Randy Mueller has been hired in an advisory role for the Saints. Mind you, he already was serving as an advisor during the draft. It's just now that they've made it official. There's some tea about that. Let me tell you. In 2000, Randy Mueller was hired as general manager of the Saints. In that same year, the Saints won their first playoff game, and Randy Mueller was named Executive of the Year. 2 years later, Randy Mueller got fired. There may be two reasons for that. One was that there was a defensive end with the Saints by the name of Joe Jackson, two-time Pro Bowler, who was renegotiating his contract. They couldn't quite see eye to eye. So Mueller terminated the discussions. And when he did that, the Green Bay Packers snatched him up toot sweet for $33 million for 6 years. That's one thing. But more than likely, the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back was the Ricky Williams trade. Ooh, Benson was hot about that one. He says Randy Mueller didn't tell him anything about it, while Randy Mueller says, yes, he did tell him about it. But, if there's a dispute with the owner and the general manager, we know who's going to win this dispute. And Randy Mueller was fired. A gentleman who had been with the Saints in one capacity or another since 1983 was then hired to be the general manager. That man's name was Mickey Loomis. Now, I have a little question. Was Randy Mueller a Mickey Loomis hire? Or was he a Dennis Lauscha hire? I doubt very seriously that he was a Mickey Loomis hire. I tend more on the side that he was a Dennis Lauscha hire. And if that is the case, are we to infer from that Mickey Loomis is on the clock? And you shouldn't be surprised about it, because you consider last year the nasty things that Mickey Loomis said about reporters and players who were critiquing the Saints for their awful piss poor product that they had been putting on the field. He just about called us mongoloid idiots and said we didn't know a damn thing about a damn thing. Made a lot of us mad, me included. Do you think that the hue and cry from Saints Nation for Dennis Allen's head, Derek Carr's head, Pete Carmichael's head, and much later on, Mickey Loomis's head, and possibly Dennis Lauscha. So, this hire kind of niggles in the back of my head, you know what I mean? And the reason it does is a little thing called karma. We all know that in Benson's latter years, that it was Mickey Loomis who had his ear. Is it possible that he also had his ear in 2000? And is it also possible, in 2002, and is it also possible that the message that was supposed to get to Tom Benson about the Ricky Williams trade was supposed to come from Mickey Loomis? Things that make you go, I've been perusing the Saints' depth chart as of late. We had better hope that those gentlemen manning the offensive line are made of steel, because the talent level of those behind them drops precipitously. And what does it say when you have Trevor Penning projected as a starter about your backups? As it is, Trevor Penning, Cesar Ruiz, Eric McCoy on that right side. Okay? We know Ruiz is good. We know McCoy is good. You know stalwarts on that line. On the other side, we have Fuaga and Lucas Patrick, who's also an unknown. Both of them are. Fuaga, of course, highly touted rookie, and we are encouraged by what we had seen from him in college. Hopefully, he can replicate that in the pros. I also have been looking at Carolina's depth chart. And if I am incorrect in this, please let me know that Trevor Penning is going to be right across from Derek Brown. Derek Brown's pretty good. Trevor Penning has not been that good so far. Maybe let's hope that the coaches have seen something that we haven't. But Derek Brooks ain't no easy task. And Trevor Penning has been beat on the inside and on the outside. And when he's beat on the inside, he tends to overcompensate and he gets beat on the outside. When he's beat on the outside, he tends to overcompensate and he gets beat on the inside. We're going to have to see how things are going to go. My predictions for the game? Well, there's a lot of unknowns on both these teams. The Panthers have a new head coach and new offensive coordinator. The Saints have a new offensive coordinator, so there's going to be a lot of new, a lot of unknown, and a lot of mistakes likely to be made on both sides of the ball. However, I feel that the Saints have enough to beat them, and I predict the score to be 28-10. However, I will tell you, and it is definitely true, that there has been a stone in my belly since this past Monday. The last time I had a stone in my belly like this, I think it was November 26th last year, week 12 in the NFL. I leave it to you to figure out what went down on that day. First week of the NFL. We already got 2 games down. Ravens lost, and who lost last night? Green Bay won the game. I know that. I picked Green Bay for the Super Bowl. But that's neither here nor there when we're talking about the Saints, because we know the Saints ain't going nowhere but the toilet bowl. As long as we got Dennis Allen here, who can't make a decision. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Who's QB2 of the Saints? I saw, or thought I saw, maybe I dreamed it, a little blurb come across my screen yesterday that said something like this. Dennis Allen has named as QB2 Jake Haener or Spencer Rattler. Now, it makes me mad and it pisses me off to the nth degree. Because, if you'll remember, we had co-defensive coordinators in Chris Richard and Ryan Nielsen because Casper Milquetoast don't have the balls enough to say one or the other. And if you ask me, I think it was disrespectful of both of them to not name one or the other as defensive coordinator. And that's one reason why I believe they left here running. Ryan Nielsen ran to Atlanta. And Chris Richard, I don't know where he ran to for a year, but he was recently hired by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And because of Casper Milquetoast's propensity not to be able to make a decision when it's important, I wouldn't be surprised if Jake Haener left here running for that same reason. And if he does, Spencer Rattler, I got a few words of wisdom for you, dear. You'd better be looking for yourself another suitable team to play for, because I'm going to tell you that as long as Dennis Allen is head coach here and his head is hot, you will never, ever, ever be the starting quarterback for these New Orleans Saints. I believe that's all I have for you today, people. Y'all take care. And whichever way the game goes tomorrow, don't get too glad and don't get too mad. Cheers. Have a good one. Thank you again for being here. Who dat?